Well, I got in one of the final pieces to the 2GR build today, besides, turbos and intercooler and things like that. But just to complete the actual engine, I got in one of the final parts. This one ordered through Summit, or no, I ordered it through Jegs. It was a Holley, a High Ram LS intake manifold, and I also used I basically put two tops together to make one intake manifold. So I used a machine, like a blank top for a carbureted, for like a carburetor conversion on an LS. And I used the LS HolleyEFI High Ram intake, and I realized I made a mistake when I welded my water neck together. I don't know what I was thinking. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was just happy to be welding, and screwed it up. So here's what it looks like. So obviously that's not going to work. So I'm going to have to cut the water neck back off, and I'm going to have to reconfigure it to go a little bit to the side. So, oops, my bad. I got a little ahead of myself. But this is the Holley High Ram intake manifold. This is the topper. This is the top for an EFI setup. And if we take that off, this is actually the top. You can notice there's threads in there. There are also threads in here, because they're both designed to be a top piece for their lower for an LS. So you can see the bottom of this guy has a nice flat machine surface, and this is where you would actually machine it out if you wanted to convert your LS to carburetors. But we're not, obviously, we're not putting carburetors in the 2GR. So I just figured I'd put this down flat against the lower plenum, and then we would throw our other top on top and just drill the threads out of the top so that we can put bolts, and then probably just use I don't know how I'm going to seal it together, but it's probably just use FIPG or something like that, and hopefully FIPG clamped together, bolted together, will hold the boost. Otherwise I'll have to probably have the top and bottom machined and put an O-ring or something, put a very large O-ring in it. But we'll see what happens here. But there's one issue, is that it rides on the fuel rails, because the fuel rails are a little taller than the actual lower plenum. So I've got this scrap aluminum I got it, who knows, probably 10 years ago or something. And so I'm just going to take this plate of scrap, or maybe I'll have to buy another plate, I'm not sure. This already has some holes in it, but we'll probably just grab some aluminum and then cut it to the right shape. Weld it to the bottom of this topper, and then cut it out for the intake plenums. Probably use a router or something to make almost like a velocity stack, like a smooth entry. And then I gotta gonna have to cut this I'm gonna have to cut that up and move it to the side. I don't know why I wasn't thinking about that when I welded together. The intake manifold wasn't here yet, so I just got ahead of myself. But making progress, that's more importantly. And then I got to weld these dash 10 weld-in bungs on both of the valve covers, and I'll be running those over to I'm going to build a catch can out of aluminum I'll run those to the catch can, and then we're going to run out of the catch can probably to the downpipe. So that way we'll put a check valve in there and a little Venturi port in the downpipe. So that way, as the exhaust gas flows down the downpipe, it'll actually pull some of the blow-by gases with it. It'll create like a suction effect. So we're going to do that. Just help keep it evacuated. We don't want to build up any blow-by pressure inside the system and start having oil leaks. So we're going to be running two fairly decent-sized turbos, and also running quite a bit of boost. So we need to keep everything in check. Since my last video, obviously you can see that the engine is actually assembled. The problem with the timing chain and everything got resolved. I bought a whole new timing setup, new timing chain, tensioners, guides, everything. Put it in and got it all assembled. So put the pan on. Got one of these adapters made by Glow Shift. It's just looks like a brass block, but it's 1/8 inch BPST on the on this end, and then it's got an 1/8 BPST here, so you can fit the factory oil pressure sending unit for the light and the dash. And then this is actually a Honeywell PX3 0 to 150 psi sensor that I'm using to feed the ECU with the oil pressure, so that when I put on the Link Strata dash, that it'll actually be able to display an alert on the screen when the oil pressure is low. And then this right here was for an oil pressure gauge. I'm debating I might eliminate all of the gauges in the car and just run the MXS Strata dash and completely just eliminate everything else and make it nice and clean. Just put the dash, because I got the 3 gauge pod pillar in there, and then the factory gauge cluster, which I'm probably just going to get. I have another factory gauge cluster, and I'm just going to modify that, put the screen in it, and I might eliminate all 3 of those gauges up there and just work with the Strata dash. And if I need any other information, I can always use the Android head unit to go ahead and display whatever gauges through Torque Pro that I may need. So, but it's operating off can. It's probably going to be pretty quick on the modern Link Fury ECU. Probably not going to have much of a delay in the sensor data. So if I find there is a delay, maybe I'll keep one of those gauges, mainly just for oil pressure. So, but yeah, it's coming together. But today I got to tear down the old 3S, doing like a mild rebuild, just basically put new pistons, rings, bearings, machining the head, putting a multi-layer steel head gasket on it, and head studs, and then reassembling the whole thing. So just getting like a refresh, a mild refresh, before it goes to the new owner, so he can throw it in his car and have many miles of worry-free operation. But he at first was like, nah, we don't need to do that. But I know how the boost bug bites people, and that engine has 156,000 miles on it, and I don't want him to get bit by the boost bug and all of a sudden start turning it up, and then pop, there goes a head gasket, or detonation causes problems. So I want it to be nice and fresh for him and be upgraded slightly, so that way he can he can beat up on it a little bit and have some fun. So, all right, well, my next video will be probably on the intake manifold being finished, and the transmission bolted up, and building the exhaust manifolds. So until then, you guys have a good one.